the ball barely stayed above the grass. One split second late, and the point was already gone. 1 year earlier, that speed had exposed every weakness in Eala's game. Now it was about to reveal something nobody saw coming. How does a player raised without a single grass court become one of the smartest grass court competitors on tour? Why were analysts suddenly replaying her matches frame by frame? And how did a surface that once rejected her become the one rewriting her future? The answer begins thousands of miles from Wimbledon. Long before the packed stands, television cameras, and immaculate lawns of the All England Club, Eala's tennis world looked nothing like the sport's traditional path. Growing up in Quezon City, there were no grass courts waiting for her. Not at her local club. Not near her home. Years later, when asked about learning grass, her response carried a quiet honesty. She didn't grow up on grass because there simply wasn't any. Instead, her earliest memories were built on something almost impossible to imagine for a future Grand Slam seed. A basketball court. Someone had painted tennis lines across the floor, creating a space that demanded absolute precision. The margins were brutally small. Drift a little too far behind the baseline, and there wasn't open space waiting behind you. There was a basketball hoop. A steel pole. Every movement carried consequences. Without realizing it, that court was teaching lessons no luxury academy ever could. There was no room for careless footwork. No space for lazy recovery. Every swing required intention because one unnecessary step meant colliding with unforgiving metal instead of preparing for the next shot. People often describe talent as something natural. But nothing about this environment rewarded instinct alone. It rewarded calculation. It rewarded discipline. It rewarded solving problems before they appeared. That mindset would eventually become far more valuable than anyone imagined. When Eala later left the Philippines to train at the Rafa Nadal Academy and steadily climbed into the world's top 50, her identity was already clear. She belonged on hard courts and clay. Those surfaces rewarded patience. They allowed points to breathe. They gave players precious seconds to build rallies, construct patterns, and think. Grass offers none of those luxuries. Grass asks questions before players even recognize them. The bounce stays low. The ball skids forward. Points disappear almost as quickly as they begin. Players raised without years of experience often describe it as uncomfortable. For many, it feels unpredictable. For Eala, it was completely unfamiliar. She later admitted that during her early professional seasons, she spent only a couple of weeks each year competing on grass. There simply wasn't enough time to understand it. She wasn't experiencing a true grass season. She was surviving one. Those words matter, because surviving and solving are completely different things. Some players accept grass as an obstacle they simply need to endure until the calendar moves on. Eala quietly chose another path. Instead of fighting the surface, she began studying it. Every awkward bounce, every rushed exchange, every uncomfortable adjustment became another piece of a puzzle. Nobody handed her shortcuts. She didn't possess childhood instincts developed over thousands of hours on English lawns. She had to build everything manually, one tournament at a time, under the pressure of professional competition. That process wasn't glamorous. It was invisible. While headlines celebrated bigger stars, Eala was reconstructing parts of her game that fans rarely notice. She wasn't chasing highlights. She was rebuilding habits. Then Wimbledon reminded her exactly how much work remained. She arrived as the world number 32, carrying growing expectations but still searching for answers on grass. The draw offered little sympathy. Waiting immediately was defending champion Barbara Krejcikova. The result came quickly. An early defeat. On paper, it looked like nothing more than an unfortunate first-round matchup against one of the toughest opponents possible. Inside the match, though, something much more important had happened. Grass had diagnosed her game. The heavy forehand that created so much damage on slower courts suddenly had no time to develop. The topspin that normally pushed opponents backward became less effective when the ball stayed low. Even her trusted movement faced a different reality as unpredictable bounces demanded earlier reactions and faster decisions. The surface wasn't simply beating her. It was exposing every tactical assumption she'd built throughout her career. Moments like that define athletes. Some leave believing the conditions were unfair. Others realize the conditions are simply revealing uncomfortable truths. Alex chose the second option. She never treated that Wimbledon loss as bad luck. She treated it as information. That decision changed everything. Over the following months, her transformation wasn't built around dramatic reinvention. It happened through hundreds of tiny choices repeated until they became instinct. Instead of waiting for perfect opportunities, she learned to attack imperfect ones. Instead of relying on heavy spin, she began taking the ball earlier. Instead of allowing rallies to settle into familiar rhythms, she disrupted them before opponents could become comfortable. Each adjustment looked small by itself. Together, they created an entirely different player. The fascinating part is that almost nobody noticed while it was happening. There were no grand announcements declaring that Alex had redesigned her tactical identity. No headlines celebrating improved contact points or altered court positioning. The rebuild unfolded quietly, hidden inside ordinary tour events where every match became another experiment. Slowly, grass stopped feeling like chaos. It became readable. Not because the surface had changed, because Alex had. And when 2026 arrived, the first clues that something extraordinary was developing appeared long before Wimbledon returned to the calendar. She opened her grass season at the Birmingham Open. Most players treat early grass tournaments as preparation. Alex treated Birmingham like proof. After working through the draw, she defeated Nikola Bartunkova in a tense three-set final to capture the title. Officially, it became her second WTA 125 championship. Unofficially, it was something much bigger. For the first time, the tactical rebuild was producing visible results. The theories weren't just surviving practice anymore. They were winning trophies. Momentum carried into Queen's Club, where she reached the second round before losing to her friend and fellow rising talent Iva Jovic. Ordinarily, that defeat might have interrupted the conversation. Instead, it became little more than a pause. Because Berlin was waiting. And Berlin was where the rest of the tennis world finally began asking the same question Alex had been answering quietly for months. What exactly had changed? Part 2. Berlin didn't reward reputation. It rewarded execution. Alex stepped onto the court carrying growing confidence, but confidence alone wasn't enough against the opponents waiting for her. She opened with a victory over Queen's Club champion Donna Vekic, a result that immediately demanded attention. Then came an even greater challenge. World number 2 Elena Rybakina. On grass, Rybakina's game is built for dominance. Her power, depth, and clean ball striking have overwhelmed some of the sport's best players on this surface. Defeating her isn't simply another win on a resume. It's evidence. Alex earned that evidence. And she wasn't finished. Her next victory came against world number 8 Elena Svitolina, sending her into the semi-finals after defeating 2 top 10 players in succession. 12 months earlier, grass had looked like the weakest chapter of her career. Now it was becoming one of its strongest. Her tournament ended against Linda Noskova in the semi-finals, but the conversation had already shifted. People stopped describing Alex as a promising young player. They began discussing her as a genuine tactical threat. Analysts searched for simple explanations. Maybe it was better serving. Maybe improved return positioning. Maybe earlier ball contact. The reality was less dramatic but far more impressive. Everything had improved together. Her decisions arrived earlier. Her positioning became sharper. Her willingness to strike aggressively before rallies developed changed the geometry of points. She wasn't trying to imitate traditional grass specialists. She had built her own version. That made her dangerous. Perhaps even more remarkable was where this transformation happened. Not during quiet practice sessions hidden from cameras. Not inside a laboratory of perfect conditions. It unfolded against elite opponents with rankings, reputations, and expectations all standing on the other side of the net. Every victory reinforced the same message. This wasn't momentum fueled by confidence alone. It was confidence created by preparation. Then came one final stop before Wimbledon. Bad Homburg. Momentum can become a burden just as quickly as it becomes an advantage. Suddenly, people expected Alex to keep winning. She was no longer viewed as an underdog capable of surprising opponents. She was becoming someone others expected to challenge for titles. Pressure changes everything. Against Elise Mertens, she suffered a straightforward first-round defeat in 2 tight sets. Timing made the loss feel heavier than the score itself. This was her final competitive match before Wimbledon. Questions immediately returned. Had Berlin been temporary? Were opponents beginning to solve her new patterns? Had the tactical rebuild already reached its ceiling? Every breakthrough eventually reaches this crossroads. When doubt appears immediately before the biggest tournament of the year, players either abandon their new identity or trust it completely. Alex trusted it. There was another layer few statistics could ever measure. She wasn't competing only for herself. Back home, a tennis-loving nation followed every result with growing belief. Every victory carried hope. Every defeat carried disappointment. That responsibility never appeared beside her name on a scoreboard, yet it traveled with her onto every court. Still, she resisted panic. She didn't erase months of progress because of one difficult afternoon. Instead, she arrived at the All England Club as the number 29 seed, becoming the first Filipino player, man or woman, ever to be seated at a Grand Slam. History had already been made before the first ball was struck. But history has a habit of demanding something more. Her opening round against Renata Zarazua ended in straight sets. Professional. Controlled. Exactly what seeded players hope to produce. The second round required greater patience. Against Maya Joint, Alex dropped the opening set before finding solutions instead of frustration. She recovered to win in 3, extending her stay at the tournament without attracting overwhelming headlines. Then everything changed. Standing across the net in the third round was defending Wimbledon champion Iga Swiatek, already the owner of 6 Grand Slam singles titles and one of the defining players of her generation. 1 year earlier, this looked like the kind of matchup that ended exactly as expected. This time, expectations collapsed. Alex captured a marathon first-set tiebreak before closing out the second set to complete one of the biggest victories of her career. Nothing about that moment appeared overnight. Every uncomfortable practice session, every tactical adjustment, every lesson learned after losing to Krejcikova, every confidence-building victory in Birmingham, every elite opponent defeated in Berlin, even the disappointment of Bad Homburg. All of it converged on center court. After the match, Alex delivered an emotional on-court interview that resonated far beyond Wimbledon, especially throughout the Philippines, where millions had followed every stage of her journey. The victory carried her into the second week of a Grand Slam for the first time and stretched her grass court run to 7 wins during a shortened season. That statistic only tells part of the story. The deeper truth is far more meaningful. A player who never grew up on grass had transformed it from her greatest uncertainty into one of her greatest strengths. She hadn't relied on shortcuts. She hadn't waited for favorable conditions. She learned the surface the hard way, adapting under real pressure against the world's best players until the adjustments became second nature. That is why coaches began studying her patterns. That is why analysts replayed her points. Not because Alex Eala had discovered a secret. Because she demonstrated something rarer. That intelligence, patience, and relentless adaptation can reshape a career more completely than natural familiarity ever could. The basketball court in Quezon City didn't prepare her for grass. It prepared her to solve problems. And in 2026, that ability carried her farther than almost anyone believed possible. The greatest lesson from her season isn't that grass eventually accepted Alex Eala. It's that she refused to let one surface decide the limits of who she could become.